Hello, sports fans. Like the spawn of Satan, we have returned again to from the depths of Hades, bringing you our pain and misery and some good time radio. It's time to say hello again to your favourite car show that's only on the radio. This is Car-Boyz. Plenty of stuff to talk about this week. We've got emerging affordable car in our classic car section. We're turning our attention to everybody's favourite European conquerors. Yes, say Guten Morgen to the Germans. Meanwhile, my co-host Simon takes another peek into my bulging sack in the post bag. A breath of relief there.
Wasn't sure of that little pause.
No, everybody was going, oh, thank goodness. Then there's the weekly car quiz, which is a bit like 80s TV classic Bullseye, except the host isn't dead. And of course, it wouldn't be Car-Boyz without the news that ain't fit to print in the news. This week, with added royalty-free music.
Ooh, bonsoir, bitches. I just said this only once. Ça va bien, zut alors. The show
I didn't know you spoke Spanish.
I'll drop the accent. The show returns once again, despite the protests from the NSPCC, the NSPCA, the NAA, CP, AA, RAC. Yes, we have defied logic, and we are back on the air at great expense. This week we're going to be talking. This week we're going to be talking about French cars, hence the accent. That was a French accent.
It was. It's great.
In a section called Design Over Engineering, which we were supposed to do on last week's show, but we forgot. Where we'll be basically looking at French cars that look great, but actually really crap to live with and own. As my co-host mentioned, all the usual guff that's here. We've got the post bag, the quiz, which will be. We'll also be re-looking at the best and worst cars in a pop video, which if you were on Facebook last week, you would have seen some of those things on there. And answering the age-old question, is it ever acceptable to buy a table of beautiful ladies a round of drinks?
Yes, I think it is.
Beautiful
men. We're a liberal show.
We're open to that. But anyway, I'm Simon 221, chubby chaser, but I'm not gay despite what I've written on the inside of men's toilets in Enfield.
Like what you've written.
Yes.
That's not what it says in the script. I'm Richard Green, and I'm a wheeler, I'm a dealer, I'm a wicked woman stealer, I'm a cruiser, I'm a bruiser, I'm a rock and rolling man. And this, it is Car-Boyz.
Car-Boyz.
And it's time for the news. How about that one?
That's where the expense has gone.
That was really expensive. That cost me moments of my time finding it on YouTube. Starting off in the news, yes, BMW have announced its new 8 Series lineup with the Grand Coupe. The 4-door 8 Series will go on sale in September after a Frankfurt Motor Show debut. Priced from just under £70,000. The Grand
cheap
Coupe,
then.
Yeah, cheap. We'll have 3. The Grand Coupe joins, and just as you go off the forecourt, watch that £70,000 turn into about 62. You won't even got down the road and it'd be that much off. The Grand Coupe joins the 8 Series Coupe and the convertible with a lineup that will comprise 6-cylinder V8 models, including the rapid new 516 bhp M850i X-Drive Grand Coupe.
Bit of a mouthful.
Just a tad, which is the M Sport, the M Series version of it. The 8 Series Grand Coupe replaces the discontinued 6 Series Grand Coupe in a growing market segment that will place it up against high-end versions of the Audi A7, Mercedes CLS, and of course the very ugly Porsche Panamera. And I've put a photo of there, which hasn't actually come out very well. It looks like a flatter version.
Okay.
It's a little bit nicer, and it's got a hatch. So this is your proper. I want to go to Courchevel and go skiing for 2 weeks, car, or a week, or a weekend.
Do you remember the old 8 Series BMWs? Huge monster coupe things.
Yeah.
Although not as many doors.
Just with the 2, not the 4. But you can get friends in this.
And helps if you have friends.
And you can just watch the money. I can't believe you'd spend. It's a lot of money, £70,000. But it's not for people like us. It's not for the hoi polloi. It's for the people that can afford to spend 70,000. It's a tax write-off. I never understand why you would ever buy a new car. Sorry, if anybody wants to sponsor this show. Toyota, if you would like, or Honda, or Audi, if you want to sponsor the show, great. But why the hell would anybody buy a new car?
Yeah, what's going on under that bonnet, though?
Sorry, back to the news. It's going to have a 4.4 litre engine. It's going to achieve 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Ho ho! But despite but I suppose I turned into Paul Daniels there. But despite this will be a combined return of 28 mpg, if you believe the literature. So that's pretty good. I'm guessing it's petrol.
Well, the Germans haven't been really good with quoting their fuel economy figures recently.
Yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it? Although it isn't the Volkswagen Audi group, so they might actually be telling the truth. You're going to get stuck by the tax man because it's 4.4 litres, so it's going to be over 500 quid for the road tax. But as we said, if you've got 70 grand, who cares? Massive 440 litres in the boot. Now, this is the point. You can take your mistress to the south of France for the weekend, and she can bring her entire or his. It may be a male mistress.
Yeah.
Can bring or he, she, or it, or Z, or Q, whatever your preferred pronoun. She can bring her entire wardrobe. Proper Grand Tourer. I do like it. If somebody gave me one, I would just say yes, please, but not for £70,000.
Can't help but think it will probably drive like a bus a bit. It's quite big.
But that's incredibly fast. And you're right, it's a huge car. So you're thinking that you might get the acceleration, but the actual performance and spinning it round corners is going to be
good on the straights of the autobahn. Maybe not so good on the M4.
I think you're probably right. You've got more news about the Mini.
I am. I know you love. I love my Minis, don't I?
Cowley's finest, yes.
Yeah. Well, the Mini is celebrating its 60th birthday in the next few weeks.
I haven't bought it anything. Does anything it wanted? Maybe a bowl of scotch or some cigars. Sorry, carry
on. Some slippers and a pipe.
Okay.
Though originally envisioned as strictly a people's car, the original Mini morphed into one of the most popular performance machines on the planet during the 1960s. Now, I wasn't around in the 60s, but I really, really wanted an original Mini. But when BMW released their new design, all the prices went up. So I didn't get my original Mini. But its victories extended far beyond its home country of here in England, and they helped define the modern BMW design Minis that you can buy today, which I have one. Alex Izagonis earned a knighthood for designing the original Mini, but names like Cooper, Richmond, Whitmore, they all deserve credit for uncovering this hidden gem of a performance machine. It includes things like people like, do you know Paddy Hopkirk?
Mm-hmm.
Paddy Hopkirk, who then spawned a range of roof racks, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah, no, he then created a roof rack business. But he originally, in I think 1968, won the Monte Carlo Rally.
Yes, the Monte Carlo. I was going to say, I had a T-shirt in Thailand with when I lived over there with all Monte Carlo on it. And I'm not a massive Mini fan or that knowledgeable. I was like, why has it got Monte Carlo? And I just researched it on the internet and found that they spanked all the opposition. I mean, I having grown up with friends having Minis, they were the original Mini. I think to a lesser extent, the current one, it's a go-kart. It's just an absolute go-kart of a car. And it's not bad to do long mileage. I went in an old BL one all the way to Edinburgh from the Midlands.
Wow.
All the way there. And it didn't seem bad. It didn't seem like it was. I mean, you're a lot younger and thinner, and you
about
put up with a bit of uncomfortableness. And 4 of us went to Reading Festival one year and that 4, not huge people, but 4 people with all that kit on a roof rack and more kit in the boot, tents, the whole lot.
They were tiny, but they were surprisingly roomy inside. They were like a TARDIS.
Yeah, but no crumple zones and no impact bars or anything like that. If you're in an accident, we'd all have been dead.
And the legendary A+ engine.
Yes, is that a transverse engine? Yeah, because it's the wrong way around, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So every time you went over a puddle, it cut out, and the battery was in the boot. So if you did a sharp stop at a junction, it would also conk out because the battery used to get unconnected. But the cool thing was you could. You had like a hardboard sort of plate on the back parcel shelf. And if you drilled a hole through it, you could shove your stereo, you get yourself a ghetto blaster, put it on the back parcel shelf, and just put the wire and connect it to the battery.
Fantastic.
But whoever is in the back had control of what music you were listening to. But you could. It was a real little dodge. Oh, this will work. Yeah, honestly, I can't. I mean, I've slept in a Mini overnight in a side.
And how was it?
Islington. Sorry.
And how was it?
It was relatively comfortable. Again, I probably had about 6-7 pints to drink. I was about 18, so I was like, fall asleep on standing up. Yeah, I think great little cars, fantastic. Perfect example of how you should make a car. Work out what you need first. What do the public need? And then engineer a car around that. And you'll just, you'll sell and sell and sell. Despite the fact, as you know, that Minis were not profitable to start off with. Every Mini that they sold, I'm guessing it was Morris and or Austin, lost money at the Cali Works. It lost money, but great little car.
They sold over, I think it was over a couple of million at least
of the original model. I'm not surprised, and they're still going strong. You still see them out. It's still nice to see them. I think I wouldn't buy one now. My love doesn't extend. Certainly not the old ones. Not for running around.
The Rover Minis were quite good. The ones of the last Minis.
I believe that was called the Mayfair and the Knightsbridge.
Ooh,
yes.
Very posh.
Moving on, talking about other British cars. We talked about Jaguar last week.
Yeah.
We've spoken about electric cars, did that last week, and we've combined those two stories this week. Jaguar's managing director, Rawdon Glower.
Really?
Yeah, I'd have banked on him being called Mr. Singh personally, or Mr. Deloire. But Rawdon says the UK's charging infrastructure is holding back drivers from switching to electric cars or EVs, electric vehicles. I don't know how this is news, but anyway, we all know this, Mr. Rawdon. There ain't enough super fast plugs to charge at one's Tesla or a milk float. Now, Rawdon is calling for faster roll. This is a made-up name. Rawdon. I hope he's American. My name is Rawdon.
He may be listening now.
Or Welsh. Do you think it could be Welsh? Rawdon.
Yes.
There's lovely. Not Indian. It could be Indian.
Lovely boy.
It is Jaguar after all. Now now he's calling for faster rolling out of infrastructure to boost public confidence. Well, I'd like hot and cold gold taps in my house that bring me fine wines. That ain't going to happen. I think the problem is a general issue with the motoring infrastructure. We've got less petrol stations than we had in the 1930s.
Yeah.
We've got poorer roads. There's hardly any charging points for electric cars. So the public can take matters into their own hands and they buy vehicles that will get them from A to B. So they say, well, there is no electric charging points. He goes on to say, I'm not finger pointing, obviously is. It's clear to say we have a role to play, as well as the government and the incumbent suppliers. We've got to make it easier to live with electric cars, from ensuring geographical coverage to racing standards, so that charge points always work. We want to introduce a system where you have one card, ideally your credit card, and pay wherever you are. All of this is great, but, and as I said before, like J-Lo, it's a big but. More electric cars means more demand for electric, which means more power stations using more fossil fuels to make the electricity, and more CO2s, and you're killing polar bears. And all you've done is moved the petrol engine from the individual car to a power station producing electricity.
Yes, which is a no-brainer really, because it's just the same.
Unless this electric comes from renewable sources, it doesn't mean anything. And we are running currently on 25% nuclear, 50% fossil fuels, so that's your gas, oil, and your 25% on your total renewables. I'm talking about your wind power, solar power. So that's 25%. Well, it's not joined together thinking. I think we're going to look back at this honestly. I just don't buy the revolution, because there's not enough. The cost, as we mentioned last week, the cost of making the cars, the cost of getting the rare earths, the cost of making the batteries. You want to be really, 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 really environmentally friendly. Go and buy a 1958 Land Rover.
Ooh, why is that?
Because the thing was manufactured in 1958, and you are not you're not creating any carbon footprint by producing a new car. You are using a car that has already been manufactured. So that process has gone. All right, It might only do 25 mpg, so stop using your car as much.
There you go, scientific as well
There
as informative.
Oh, hang on, we need another jingle.
We do.
Yes, sorry. Let's find. Oh, my children are screaming in the background.
That was the jingle, was it?
Oh, was the jingle? No. Hang on. Here we go. Come on, jingle. Oh, enough. Sports news. Over to Simon.
Good evening, sports fans. I'm your sportscaster. Toyota have won a second consecutive Le Mans 24-hour race on Sunday, but even without opposition in the top LMP1 hybrid class, the Japanese manufacturer offered a dramatic finish. So this was at Le Mans, which is one of the greatest tracks of all time. The number 7 entry, driven by Briton Mike Conway, Kamui Kobayashi, and Jose Maria Lopez. Hopefully he listens to the show and
Lopez. Right.
Yeah, Lopez. Comprehensively outpaced the number 8 sister car, driven by Fernando Alonso, who was the reject from Formula. Sorry, not the reject from Formula. He was from Formula One, but moved to Le Mans racing.
Sorry, carry on.
Okay. Sebastian Buemi and Kazuki Nakajima from the first qualifying session on Wednesday evening until Sunday afternoon. Lopez had just over an hour to go of the 24 hours, but due to a puncture, the Argentine was forced to pit again, handing victory to Alonso, Buemi, and Nakajima. This marked a second consecutive win for Toyota Le Mans for the trio and confirmed the World Endurance Championship of 2018-19, called Super Season.
Super Season.
It meant that Alonso adds a third FIA world title to the pair he won in Formula One with Renault back in 2005 and 2006. Now, I don't know if you know this, because we are informative, and
yes.
Sports Desk is current. The Ford GT got disqualified in this race.
Oh, right.
Which is I think it's the last season that Ford are back in the Ford GT through like works programs.
Okay.
But they got disqualified for being too quick at the pit stops and having a bigger fuel tank at 0.1 kilograms too big.
0.1 kilograms. So 100 grams.
Yes. But the reason why I mention this is because Ford, big news.
Yes.
Are going to make an announcement on none other than the 4th of July.
Wow.
About a new Ford GT.
It's the Fiesta, isn't it?
Yes, underneath it.
No, I think it's actually the 1992 Ford Pelican.
So 4th of July, we'll bring you that news.
Okay.
When we get it.
Do you remember the Ford Pelican?
Just about.
When Ford were really trying to get rid of the Escort model, and they called it
Escort.
Yeah, they were like, "We've got to get rid of these because we're bringing the Focus in." I think it was mid-90s, and I just remember watching an advert with the Ford Pelican. Like, oh yeah, that's the car I want. A model that's just about to go defunct called the Pelican.
What should we like to be at that meeting? What should we call it?
They're just drunk. So who gives? Let's just pick something. That's a pension. They're aiming that purely at pensioners. Give them the name Pelican because you're not beating them off with a shitty stick, are you? The girls, if you've got a Ford Pelican. So Le Mans is obviously the classic, the Steve McQueen classic movie. I remember it was like the powder blue. Was it the Porsche?
The Gulf racing ones with the
Gulf racing. Yes. Yeah, I have no interest in it at all. It looks. I've got friends that go down there to see it, but and you're a big fan? 24 Hour?
No, I used to like it, but then it's like a lot of motorsport. It's become very sterile, which we might talk about later on in Formula One.
Oh, I'm not your doctor. I'm talking about sterile. You might want to go and see GP.
Boom, Grand Prix. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, time for Classic Car of the Week. This week is, like History Channel, in our Classic Car of the Week, we've been concentrating on World War II Axis powers. We've had 2 candidates from Japan, the Honda and the Toyota, and 1 from Mussolini's Italy via Poland, the Polski 500. And now we turn our attention back towards back east towards Central Europe and everyone's favourite enemy during World War II, Germany. We're turning back the clock to a time where German engineering really meant something, before those nasty buggers at Chrysler got hold of Mercedes, and when auto designers at BMW made a solid car rather than an iPad on wheels. Yes, it's time for us to take a peek at a future classic from Audi, the Audi 8 Coupe. Now, this was
I do like that.
The B3 generation Audi Coupe, a major move towards the 90s, a sweeping aside the boxy original. It was closely based on 80/90 as before, and it meant it boasted a highly aerodynamic, fully galvanized body. The major new advantages of opening hatchback rear. It offered the same 4 and 5-cylinder engines as its saloon cousin. So the sporting Audi was predictably quick and efficient. Now, although the Audi Coupe still lacked charisma compared to rivals such as the Volkswagen Corrado, the 1989 model went into production for 7 years, and it took the cars into new realms of desirability. Now, this made the car a rival, and the brand a rival to BMW and Mercedes. Previously, it was seen as the poor man's version of both. The car could manage 170 bhp, a top speed of 140, and it has the Quattro drivetrain, so it's still a capable daily driver today. And, well, we think a bit of a bargain classic. Mm-hmm. And I know everybody wants the 80s Audi Quattro, life on Mars. You really want to be hooning that round the corner at 50 miles an hour, like you're in the final stages of the Monte Carlo Rally. But, and as I said, like J-Lo, it's a big but. If you really want to live with a 30-year-old 1980s car, there's no aircon, you've got no power steering, electric windows in the front only, the seats are probably all collapsed, the thing leaks like a sieve, so every time you drive, you're going to get a wet arse and a lovely smell of mold through the sunroof. You can't possibly regularly use that car. It's too old and it's too complicated, because the 80s Audi Quattros had plenty that could go wrong with them.
Yeah.
But what you can do is buy a slightly newer version of the same car, but with full electrics, a factory-fitted CD player, power steering, nice comfortable heated leather seats, no leaky flaming sunroof. And the specs for these cars are quite good. You get a standard 2-litre model, 0 to 60 in a shade under 10 seconds, and they do an average of 25 mpg in petrol. Chuck a shed load of money at your purchase, and you can go up to 2.2-litre Quattro, 20-valve, 4-wheel drive. That'll do 0 to 60 in 7.5 seconds, 220 bhp, top speed, as I mentioned before, 140.
Nice.
But you will pay for it at the bottom end. You can get a reasonable car with 100,000 on the clock, full service history, and no rust for £2,500. If you want the Quattro spec, you're talking more like 10, but that will be an immaculate car. And I still think that's good, even though it's a 25-year-old car, and it'll have sub 50,000 mileage on the clock. The great thing about Audi and the coupe of this era is they are super, super solid, super reliable. And like the teacher's pet, they're always eager to please. And they are definitely over-engineered by Audi to capture the imagination of the American market. This is what they were going for. Also, cars from the 90s fall into this lovely little niche. They get all of the luxury, leather, big engines, but out any of the IT headaches. This is a mechanic's car. This is not a PC. So I would say, das ist good. Ja, das ist mein Bitte, to a 90s Audi coupe. And watch the admirers look on with jealousy, the bastards.
What do you think about that?
That is a really
good car. It is. I'd like those ones because they were sporty, but they looked quite mean at the same time.
I think you have to. There were a couple of pastel colours. There is a teal, and there's definitely a lime green that you might want to avoid, but I think the hipsters are probably like those.
I don't remember the lime green or the teal. I can remember they were obviously in white and red.
Okay.
And colours like that. But they were quality, and they did look, even in the 90s and today, they still look quality.
It's a quality
well put together.
It's an absolute. I've been in one once and was surprised it was so old. I was like, this is not an L-Reg. Yes, this is an L-Reg. I'm like, how is this an L-Reg? There's no rust on the things. The owner had kept it in really good nick.
I'm guessing because it's galvanized aluminium.
I think it's just galvanized.
Okay.
The other one, and I'm definitely going to do it, is the let me get it right. I want to say, is it the A2 or is it the A1? It's the A2 that was completely aluminium that Audi lost a load of money on. They're very, very, very boxy. It looks like a Honda Jazz.
Yes. Yes, I know the ones.
They were the ones that they will go on forever. You've seen 18-year-old models of that car with no rust on them at all. Audi really messed up, but they're in that weird period. The 90s for them was getting rid of the Auto Union brand and becoming a brand that, I mean, now, you know, that's the brand you want to be seen in. You don't really want to be seen in a BMW. I think what's come back and hit them in the face is the fact their quality has gone down. Back then,
because I think that was one of the last Audis where just before they moved to things like the A4 and the A6 and those ones.
Yeah.
It was basically redefining the Audi brand. The last of those cars.
I worked with somebody that brought a brand new Audi in the 70s, and he wasn't a car guy. And I just said to him, I'm amazed. He said, oh, I just fancied it. And I said, nobody had an Audi in the 70s. He said, people used to ask me what it was. They were like, what do you I think he had an Audi 80 or something?
Estate?
I don't think so. It was quite sporty. Because he said it was a lot cheaper than he wanted a BMW, couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do it, get rid of some money because it was the 70s and it was everybody was getting stung by Labour's lovely, was it 92p in the pound, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. But that would have been just prior to the Rally Quattros. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. I mean, they weren't seen as sexy cars. They were like, what is it?
It's a car that your teacher would drive.
Yes. Reliable. It was that or the Volvo.
Geography teacher of all people.
Yes.
It'd be the geography teacher.
Yes, that or a 240 Volvo Saloon. Oh, not the estate. At least the estate, you could pretend you're maybe a surfer at the weekend. The saloon, minicab driver. Yes, that's it. That's I'm going to have to look further afield. I might go to America next week for our classic car. I'm going to hand over to you. You're going to tell us about the French.
Yeah, well, we were talking about quality cars.
I'll just think the music to a lower low. Sorry. We're probably going to get taken off YouTube for that.
Probably, yeah. Their algorithm will pick up that you were humming the tune to a lower low.
I owe some guy that's been dead for the last 20 years £8.75.
But we are indeed talking about the French, and in this week's feature, which was from last week, but it's good idea, bad execution. But we're not talking about the guillotine.
Oh, I like it.
This week we're talking about a time right up to the present day where you would have some of the most beautiful cars that were designed in France, but they were also some of the most terrible.
Oh yes, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So to start off with, what we're going to look at today, there were some French geniuses. So in 1769, Nicolas Joseph. Now I nearly said that wrong.
I'm just looking at the script. I believe you. I've given you all these French words. Well, you are fluent, or is it affluent?
You had the intro. You can do the French pronunciations.
Okay. So I'll do okay, right. So we've got the French. We're saying that the French are design geniuses. 1769, Nicolas Joseph Cugnot builds the first self-propelled mechanical vehicle.
Comme
1807, Francois Isaac de Rivez invents a hydrogen-powered internal combustion engine. That's insane. 1807. 1859, Jean-Joseph Etienne Lenoir develops an internal combustion engine. So this is all French. 1884, Edward Delamere de Butonville, credited in France with building the first gasoline-powered automobile.
So absolutely pioneers.
And with all that success, you'd think that the French should be numero uno in the world and not the 11th car manufacturer. Unlike the Germans, they do like a 2-hour lunch with wine and often put the kibosh, which can often put the kibosh into productivity in the afternoon. The history of French manufacturing is far more successful on paper than either the British or the Americans. And unlike both, they still manufacture cars. Citroën, Peugeot, Renault still producing lots of cars for foreign and domestic consumption.
So I said the French, they still got major players, though, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in terms of design, they're a nation that can't be surpassed. From the classic styling of the traction Avant, that was
Mm.
1930s up to the 50s. That's a 20-year span. That, if you've never seen the traction Avant, that is the car that every single Gestapo agent turns up in France. Traction Avant. I think they manufactured the Middlesex. Had a factory over here making right-hand
Really?
drives. Yes, and they used
I
to
didn't know
put.
that.
Yes, it's a. They used to put Jaeger. We had Smith's clocks. They used to put Jaeger
So they
clocks
didn't
into them.
work.
No, they didn't. They were shit after about 20,000 miles. But still, it looked pretty. It's a pretty car. Suicide doors.
Yes.
Beautiful looking car, the traction Avant. I passed one the other day and it was doing, I think, 65 on the motorway. I was thinking that's
Wow.
not bad for a car that's probably 60, 70 years old. Um, you've also got the French producing the Bugatti, the Faisal Vega, 21st century styling cues of the Citroen in the Citroen SM, the Renault Alpine.
Mm.
So we know they can make a good looking car. Can they
Mm.
make it reliable?
Well, these days, I don't think they are very reliable, though, are they?
2CV was same car manufactured for almost 50 years, unheard
Yeah.
of anywhere else. Renault 4, again, that is actually the unsung hero of France, the Renault 4. That's 30, I think 30 years. They kicked at the French were manufacturing the Renault 4, and you still see Renault 4s in France. I think it's a cliche. You go around and go. When I was a kid, you still saw the DS. You still see the Citroen
Yeah.
DS. You still see Renault 4s. I think they manufacture them up to like 92, 93. Proper little workhorses. Then you got the Renault 5s, the Peugeot 205 of the 80s.
Mm.
And where it all went wrong is reliability. So that's always been a factor for the French, more so in the 90s. Citroen Saxo engine used to blow up after 50,000 miles.
Oh.
Yeah, and the same with the whatever it was.
There's the Peugeot
Yes,
106.
yeah, that
Same
also
car.
had issues. Yep. Renault Megane had lots of the one that was shaking its ass. You remember the advert?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
a
shook its
friend of
ass a
mine,
bit.
he had a Megane, and it was
Yeah.
engine went absolutely awful.
My friend of mine kept having problems with it, and I said to her, "Why don't you just because you don't really care about cars? Why don't you just buy a Japanese car?" And she said, "Because my dad was in a prisoner of war camp during World War II, not a German one, a Japanese one." And I went, "But still, they make good cars. Tell your dad to forgive and forget." Or just take the Honda badge off and put Peugeot. But it's not. You're not doing much of British motoring and up the empire, are you? Driving around in a Renault.
Mm.
Recent years, they've launched this whole DS model, and they look beautiful. But it comes to taking on the Germans, the Japanese, and the Koreans, it's definitely nil point. So French cars, substance over styling. I'm afraid the answer. What do we think is Mewi?
Maybe.
I mean, I had a Citroen AX, second car I owned. I had a Fiat before that. Citroen AX could not kill it. I did 60,000 miles in that car.
Was that the one with the plastic bonnet?
Oh yeah, no, it didn't have the. It had a plastic boot.
Okay.
It had plastic bumpers. It had sort of a plastic trim around the side, which was great. Actually, in fact, you couldn't if you careful about how you close the boot, because if you close the boot too violently, you actually split the boot.
Ooh.
And it was made of paper. It was so very, very thin. You couldn't do over 80. If you did over 80 in it, I had an aftermarket tape deck. Everybody sounded like Belinda Carlisle.
Oi.
Remember going around the M42 around Birmingham. Oh, bring it down to 70, and then AC/DC would go back to sounding normal.
But you're absolutely right, though. The French know how to make a small hot
Yep.
hatch. So you're saying the Renault 5, they had the GT Turbo version of that, Citroen Saxo, VTS and VTRs, 205 GTI. So they were pretty good at making little small, fast, hot hatches.
And good diesel cars. They always make a good agricultural diesel. And they're big cars. You look at some of the
the XM. The Citroen XM.
Yeah, or Citroens, even they're the big luxury. Is it the C5? The big luxury sort of
saloon
executive cars, but the reliability is they look gorgeous, but the reliability isn't there, and you're just like, I'm just not going to spend harder and good money after bad, really.
because they also handled really well, because the French roads were often cobbled roads, so they always had a great ride and great handling.
I did have an XM that the hydraulics had got.
Was it
mine,
like a low rider car?
Oh, it was insanely bad. If you can imagine the benefit, because they all had the hydraulic suspension, and it was a company estate, white estate car, and the hydraulics, you'd lose your fillings going down the most marble smooth road. It had no suspension.
I used to love the BX. You used to fire it up, and the back would just rise up.
Did you have one?
Genius.
You had a BX?
No. My uncle had a BX in Paris, and I remembering, and the ride was just absolutely incredible.
I mean, so you didn't bruise your fruit or your baguette.
My onions on my bicycle.
It is strange how they come. I mean, especially Peugeot, because weren't Peugeot? I think they were a weapons manufacturer to start off with, or their background comes from engineering in not in a car place.
Yeah, because you often see like Peugeot sewing machines and bicycles.
I went to a Michelin star. I don't do this all the time. It makes me sound richer than I am. I went to a Michelin star restaurant once, and the salt and pepper pots were Peugeot.
Yes,
they weighed a ton. And I did wonder whether we could nick them, but I thought, no, I think there's two. It's one of those restaurants where there's a lot of waiters around you.
Where I've seen that somewhere else before. It may be when we often, because myself and Rich, we often frequent Belgian bars. But I think they may have had them there as well.
Okay, yeah. That could be a thing. But yeah, French cars. It's a real. I think what it comes down to is car manufacturers. When times are tough, you need to narrow everything down, work out what people want, and just make one or two cars, and then build from there. Just say, we're going to make this one car for people that want a hot hatch. We're going to make this other one car for. I think that's the way it's going now, because all of the manufacturers seem to be making less and less choice. I mean, I like saloon cars, and the choice for me. And even worse, if you like coupes, there's hardly any large coupes out there anymore.
Yeah,
everybody seems to want an SUV.
Because if you think about it, there was the 406 coupe, which was started by Pininfarina.
Yes,
as well. Beautiful car.
I've driven I've driven 2 or 3 405s, and they were fantastic driving cars.
Yes.
Absolutely lovely. Really, I wasn't supposed to be driving them, but that's a story for today. I helped myself to them. I hope my mother's not listening to this.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
And on that point, I think we should move on then.
Yes, clear.
I think it's time that we need to look at this week's correspondence to the Car-Boyz post sack, and let me just have a look at Rich's sack. Yes, it's bulging as usual.
Yes,
with mail.
It's a mail bulging sack. Yes. First off, we've got an email from Tony in Singapore. Hello, Tony.
Hello, Tony.
Ni hao. I love Formula One when it comes to my home city every year, but my friends say, I've got to be careful here. It said, my friend said, it's only NASCAR for the educated. What do you think? This is a question for you rather than me.
You know what? A few years ago, I used to religiously watch Formula One, but now I've just lost all love for Formula One. I think it's boring. It is like NASCAR, just going round in circles, nothing interesting, no great technology from as far as I'm concerned. So, resounding no from me.
I've always thought, and I love Monaco. I think Monaco's a visually absolute lovely spectacle to watch. But and I like what's the Malaysian one? Sepang. I like Sepang because I used to live over there. So I'm not really any interest in other tracks, but it's always seemed to me, and people are probably right saying, well, no, it's not like that. It's who's got the most money. Whoever has the most money gets to win. So back in the day, fledgling, who was
Minardi.
Just wouldn't have the chance to win. It could be, because McLaren would be able, and Mercedes McLaren would be able to throw far more money at it than
it's
the
become
drivers.
less. It's become less of a spectacle now, though, hasn't it?
Yes, I think you're right. I think because it's safer. I mean, and I'm pleased it's safer because people like Ayrton Senna and Niki Lauda having awful crashes, but you don't get the personalities. You get the people like James Hunt just aren't there. I had a beautiful clockwork wind up Black Lotus, the JPS one.
Oh yes.
Which I've got a feeling my nan had to smoke a lot of JPS cigarettes to buy. And weirdly, I saw an advert for Formula One through the years, and it was quite cool because but it got rid of all the cigarette advertising. Wasn't on there.
Really?
Yeah, it was hilarious. So it started off with, and here's Enzo Ferrari and is the 30s and Alpha in the 30s, and then the 1950s, Lotus, Jackie Stewart, and then coming through it to James Hunt, Niki Lauda, Nigel Mansell, blah blah blah, right up to the present day. But that period of late 60s through to late 90s, everything was the reason Ferrari was red and white was because of Marlboro cigarettes, and purple and white was silk cut. And as I mentioned, JPS cigarettes, John Player Specials, were in a black box, and they should have been. That's what most of the smokers ended up in, 6 foot under.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at the link that you had for that.
Yeah, exactly. Nails in the coffin. But they got rid of this on this advert. Now, I can't understand. I know you can't have cigarette advertising, but surely within a historical advert, I can remember laughing once. I used to smoke. I haven't smoked for nearly 20 years. Actually, 20 years this summer since I smoked cigarettes. And I remember arguing with somebody smoking a cigarette, and they go, it's really unhealthy. And they were sat there in a white and blue Rothmans jacket. I was just laughing. I was going, what are you wearing? I'm not wearing a Marlboro jacket. Well, I like Formula One. I went, yes, but you're wearing a Rothmans, Team Rothmans. Yes, it's a cigarette brand. Oh, is it? Yes, it is.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I feel much passion for it either. It just seems these days it is a lot of money gets chucked at stuff.
Obviously owned by the Americans now. There's an organisation called Liberty Media who basically bought it off Bernie Ecclestone. So yeah, the Americans now run it.
So it's probably turning into NASCAR a little bit.
Pretty much so, yeah. Sorry, Tony, in Singapore.
Sorry, Tony.
We're not fans.
No.
Anyway, cast your mind back to last week. We were talking about the best and worst cars in pop videos. And if you go to our Facebook page or check out our Twitter, which is car-boys at... is this right? At car_boys.
Yes. There's no...
Just melted all into one. But if you look for us on Facebook, it's car-boys on Facebook. We had clips of Betty Boo doing do. Was she doing do?
So it was another pop video. It was terrible.
But she was driving a bubble car in a pop video. Cypress Hill. Do like Cypress Hill. They were in a Cadillac Lowrider.
Nice.
In the video, Lowrider. Yellow from Austria with the race with no... not specifically a car, and a pretty awful video, I think. But it was a good song. And of course, there was the legend that is David Coverdale, who wouldn't be in any music video without his Jag in Here I Go Again. So, those were all on...
You posted that, and I watched the video, and it is his girlfriend dancing around on the bonnet of two Jags. And it does look... But all I could think of was, get the bloody hell off the bonnet of that car, love. Get off. What are you doing? Are you wearing high heels? You're going to destroy that paintwork.
Yeah.
Those two Jags don't exist anymore. What's that video? It's got to be about 89 or 80.
Probably rotted away somewhere.
Oh, they're rotten. They're rotten. Especially in America. Nobody knows how to look after Jags over there. They don't know that look after Jags over here. So it's an absolute money pit. But yeah, there's some really interesting cars. We had ZZ Top, of course, Ford 32 Coupe Hot Rod, loads of their videos. Sharp Dressed Man, Oasis. We were talking about Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah.
It was Patrick McNee from the Avengers, but he's driving a London cab. We thought it was a Rolls Royce.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right.
We gave him more kudos than he deserved. We have a winner for the best and worst car videos in a pop song, though. This goes the worst. The winner of the worst is Aqua with their hit Barbie Girl. Now, I think that's the one. This features a pink Ford Cortina with no roof.
It was the conversion. There was a conversion.
Really? I
can't remember who
made up.
No, they seriously. It was someone like Tickford, who they sent it to a bodywork organisation, and they took the roof off.
So it was a bad car to start off with a Pinto engine, which the Americans take the mick out of.
Yes.
And you made it less stiff by taking the roof out of. That must have wallowed around like a drunken spaniel.
Guttural shake on that must have been awful.
Going round the corner. Yes, that's definitely the worst. The best by a good mile, we think, is MIA. Who I used to think was called Missing in Acton. I think that's a better name. Is he called Missing in Action? Yeah, I think Missing in Acton is better. And the VT, which is shot out the middle of the East.
Middle East Acton.
Middle East Acton. Well, you know. Features Alfa Romeos, BMWs, 5 Series, a few Mercedes doing burnouts, donuts, and amazing tricks. I can't remember the name of the song.
It was that good.
It was that good.
We were distracted by the car.
We just like the cars in it. And it's her dancing around. If you do please send it. If you've got any worst and best cars in a pop video, it's car-boys at car_boys. That's Twitter. And just look us up at car-boys, boys with a Z on Facebook.
Because we're pretty cool. Steph145, that's, I guess, in their screen name, last week said about girls' cars that are not too curly, fast, good to drive for those under 4'9" and long flowing hair. But we would always suggest the hot hatch VW Golf, the Honda Civic Type R, the Clio Williams, which, if you don't know, the Mark 1 was the blue. It was available in blue with gold wheels.
Nice.
Is that right? Yeah. And the smaller sports cars like the Porsche Boxster, the Subaru Impreza, and the Mitsubishi Evo 8 Plus. So
yes,
we checked them out.
Yeah, I think you anything. You've got to get in it and have a drive round really and see if it suits. Under 5'4", there's a lot of cars that you're gonna really struggle with. You just want and if you like cars and you like motoring and you want something with a bit of poke, yeah, why not? Treat yourself to some hot hatches. Probably are the way to go. And the reliability, you've got no problems with German or Japanese. Generally, reliability. I quite like the BMW 1 Series. I think they look
the coupe.
Beautiful looking car.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely the coupe.
Because the hatchback, I think, looks a bit awkward.
That's the sort of one that looks like a shooting brake.
Yes.
And I'm going to do an old Top Gear review now. This is so this would be an 80s Top Gear review. When you open the boot on those car, it does have a lump where the drivetrain for the rear wheels is situated, making it very difficult to get shopping in and out.
It's almost as if William Willard is here.
Yes,
as we're doing this show.
That's right. Well, thank you for that. And let's talk about something equally as bloody boring. I used to remember watching it going, who cares whether you can't get shopping out of the boot of the car? But with those Renault, the four-door saloons, BMW four-door saloons, you do have problems getting your shopping in and out of the back.
Yes.
Who cares? Last one from Dave in London.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, Dave. They're going to introduce a zero tolerance against diesels in central London. I do long trips around the UK. I need a diesel. What shall I do? I'd go to France with a screwdriver, nick some French plates, and then just put them on your car every time you want to go into central London. I mean, obviously, I'm not advising you to break the law, and you take this is a comedy show. It's not meant to be taken seriously. I would just catch a train or a bus into central London, get an Uber, because if you're doing long trips around the UK, forget forget going into the centre of town. It's Sadiq Khan that's bringing this in.
Yes.
He's probably not going to be mayor for much longer because he's everywhere. London's turned into Stab Central. So unlikely he's going to get in at the next vote. So maybe this will be kiboshed. I think
I don't know.
These sort of high polluting cars. If you're doing mileage and you need a diesel car, full stop.
Maybe though, hybrid's the best of both worlds, possibly.
I do remember when they brought in the congestion charge, the original congestion charge, that if you owned a bus, you didn't have to pay for it. So a friend of mine bought a long wheelbase Land Rover that used to belong to the police in Hendon,
Fantastic.
which is effectively classified as a bus. This thing's diesel and did about 15 mpg, and he would commute into the centre of London, absolute tank. I think they've got round that loophole now, which is unfortunate.
Did it have the riot shield on the front?
I think it's still in blue. It's like in a dark blue. A lot of blood in the back.
Yes.
A lot of confessions.
Some cuffs and a baton.
Yeah, exactly. So, at this bomb. Yes.
That's this week's letters. Remember, if you want to get in touch, it's car dash or hyphen. You go for hyphen, don't you? I go for dash. Car dash boys.
Car-Boyz, boys with the Z, at car_boys. That's Twitter. Facebook, car-boys, boys with a Z. Email us, car-boys@outlook.com. Car-boys with a Z @outlook.com. We will endeavour to answer your questions rightly or wrongly. We've got about 8 minutes left. Non-correlated topics this week. We've been known to frequent a pub or two. I asked a question last week. Have you ever taken a date to Wetherspoons?
Yes.
And you said,
possibly.
Can't really remember. You have such a varied social life.
This is true.
Now Wetherspoons have this new app that you can put on your phone. This is very bad.
We did this the last time we went out.
Yeah, we did when we went out. Now you could order food and beer to your table in one of their pubs, and it got me thinking. Which is great because there's less time standing at the bar, got me thinking because you could also just randomly order drinks for tables and pubs across the country.
Oh, I like your style.
So you
That's
could
really
go.
Good.
You could go get the app out and go Doncaster, the Rose and Crown, table 6. Order them a brandy. I mean, you're not going to. Can you imagine sitting there? Where the heck's this from? But even better, it got me thinking. If you find out the number of a table where some sexy ladies are sitting, you could order them a round of drinks. Last gent you are in a Wetherspoons.
This is really good. I like this. I think the next time, obviously not you, because Mrs. Richard would not like that, but I can try it out.
Yeah, you could try that out. Higher. And then just like this, just raise your eyebrows and give them a little wave.
Or with a Roger Moore style eyebrow raise.
That's right. You'd have to be wearing a cravat. And driving a Ferrari Dino. Is that Roger Moore? Oh no, he had the Aston Martin. Was it the van?
He did. He had the Aston, and Tony Curtis had the
Ferrari. If anybody's listening under the age of probably 50, you're probably going, "What the hell are you talking about?" This was a lovely TV series made by Associated. Was it Associated Television, ATV? Lou Grade's company.
Yes.
Persuaded, in the south of France. With Roger Moore pre-Bond.
Late 70s, yeah.
Yeah, and he drove an Aston. Was it the
V8, the big one?
Big V8 Aston. And Tony Curtis, who was down on his uppers, met Lou Grade at a party, and he said, "How can I convince you to be in a TV series?" And he said, "I like the Ferrari Dino." And he said, "We'll buy you one of those." And that's how Tony Curtis did it. It's a terrible. Yes.
So does that mean that Roger Moore had like the Volvo from the Saint?
My uncle renovated a couple of those.
Really?
Yes, they are
the
really
P1s. Were they called P1s?
It was
P1600.
P1600, and we found a couple of air pistols in the boot. Maybe it was Roger Moore's car
with the number plate ST1 or STI, maybe one or the other.
STD. They were beautiful looking cars, really solid cars, and he stripped it all out, and they put new red leather seats in it. It looked gorgeous when they'd done it.
Did they have V4 engines, or am I thinking Saabs? I
think
can't
it's
remember.
Thinking Saabs. I could look it up on the Tinterweb, but I can't really be asked.
Okay.
Plus, it seems to be going rather slowly.
Someone can do that and
Yeah,
message
maybe
us
you
on
can tell us.
Facebook.
Work out
Yeah.
whether it was the. I thought it was P1800.
It might be. P1600 might be in the pickup that Ford made out of the Cortina.
With the P1800, it was the 2+2 front engine, rear wheel drive, and as I look off the top of my head, courtesy of, they had a 1.8 and a 2 litre.
Ah, right.
4-speed. Oh, a BorgWarner 35 automatic was the auto box.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit of information for you. 1998, P1800S was certified as the highest mileage vehicle driven by the original owner in non-commercial service. How many miles do you think it had?
400,000.
Higher.
Ooh. 500,000?
Higher.
Are we talking astronomically high, like 800,000?
Keep going.
9?
Keep going.
1 million?
Keep going.
No way. There's not enough digits on the clock.
Mm-hmm.
1.5 million.
Over 3 million, and that was in 2013, and it's still on the road.
Oh my word.
So what it's doing now, 3 million. It comes back to they used to make cars not to break, and now they make cars to be disposable assets. The whole thing is disposable.
In my old car, I just sneeze and bits fell off it.
that was yes. And the acronym "fixed often and repaired daily" can be applied to that particular manufacturer.
That is
I'm
correct.
hoping you're not going to have the same problem with your fantastic Mini.
I hope not. No, it's been in one piece so far.
So, hang on. We better do the quiz. You've done a quiz, haven't you?
Yeah.
That.
It's time for the quiz. Do we have any music for the quiz?
Hang on. I want to put bullseye, but we can't do bullseye.
Yes.
Hang on a second. Nothing like professional. Okay.
We've probably got about 3 minutes left of the show, but
okay. It's fine. It's fine. Here we go. Okay. And don't know what it's going to sound like, but here we go. Welcome to the show.
It sounds like that was recorded on a TDK C60 tape.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Anyway, this week's quiz. It's hard to believe that there was a time when seatbelts and airbags were optional pieces of equipment. So for this week's quiz, I should be testing Rich on his knowledge of car equipment lists. And asking the question, was it standard or optional?
Oh, those were the days.
So just to make it clear, I'm talking about a specific car that I'm going to name, specific car and model. Okay. And all you have to do is say, oh, yes. So that was my Leslie Phillips impression.
So I have to say standard or optional. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to go nay in a Frankie Harvard style, but no. Okay.
Nay,
yeah. So standard.
Okay. So hang on. So I got to say, but nay. Oh yes, Leslie Phillips. Okay. Right.
So, really good one to open. The Vauxhall, or if you're in Europe, the Opel Astra GTE.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which is the square one. Digital dashboard. Was that standard or was that optional?
I knew somebody that had an Astra.
But was it the GTE?
Yes.
You're right. It was standard.
Good.
Yes, it looked like the Knight Rider dials. It was an LCD screen, and it used to light up in yellow colours.
I have a memory of somebody having one of these cars.
The Fiat 500L. I posted this on Facebook earlier on. It's the not the 500. It's the big overweight one. Coffee machine. Was it standard or was it optional?
A coffee machine?
Yes.
In the car, or like as an extra?
Standard or optional?
Oh, I'm going to say nay.
Absolutely right. It was a £325 option and made Lavazza coffee.
What? I'm sorry, this has never heard of this.
I will post a picture of it later.
Please do. So did it sit? Is this built into the car?
Yes, into the center console. I kid you not.
I mean, I like coffee. I like a coffee holder. I like a coffee cup. I can't imagine anything more dangerous than hooning round a corner at 55 miles an hour with hot Lavazza.
Yes. Seriously,
Espresso steam going
I
everywhere.
will post it.
Oh, I'm
£325
excited
that would
about
have
this.
cost you. Kia Soul, the Exclaim model, the exclamation mark. LED glowing speaker lights. Was that standard or was that optional?
It's Korean. They want to take over the market. I'm going to say, oh, yes, rather.
Oh, very good. You're doing well
Yeah.
so far. 100% so far. It was
Good.
standard on
Good.
higher models. The Honda Odyssey, named after the band Odyssey. Vacuum cleaner. Did it have a vacuum cleaner or not?
A vacuum cleaner.
Standard or optional?
Honda Odyssey. Never
Which is
hit
the
me going
MPV.
back to my roots. Or was it Native New Yorker? I think was Odyssey. Disco track from the mid-70s. I'm going to say, no.
Very good. It was optional. It was called the Honda Vac and would have cost you $2,500 to have a little vacuum cleaner in the back.
Couldn't you just go and buy one that plugs into the dash
From Halfords, yeah.
for like 25 quid?
It would have saved you some money. But yes,
Or get a
$2,500.
Bulgarian to do it for 20 quid. I don't know. Come on.
New Beetle, new VW Beetle, VW. Flower vase. Now think carefully. Was this standard or was this optional?
I hate to say it. I think yes.
Yes,
I think it was standard.
Standard.
They looked awful.
In German, it was called the Blumenvasen.
We've come a long way, haven't we, in sort of 40 years of motoring? You used to have ashtrays everywhere. Everywhere. Ashtrays, cigars, cigarette lighters, luxury cars had cigarette lighters in the back. And now it's just a vase in the front of your car.
BMW Mini convertible, Mark II.
Yeah.
Did it have a standard or optional roof down timer? So when you're posing in your Mini convertible, did it have a standard or optional roof?
It's BMW, so I'm going to say no.
Oh, it was standard.
Really?
It tells you how long you've been driving with your roof down.
But who cares?
Obviously, someone driving a Mini convertible. It did have a clock.
How much time have you spent with the roof down this week? Well, if I just go and check I've made a recording of that.
Again,
here it's 4 minutes 27.
I will post this on our Facebook page. A few more. Honda CR-V, which was their multi-purpose off-road type thing. Power shower. Was that standard or optional?
Honda CR-V. I'm going to say, no.
No. It was an option on there, but you could have your own shower that opened up on the boot lid.
Nice. As you're on the A4 outside Doncaster in November.
Wash all the mud off your boots.
Naked.
Hyundai iX35, which is the sport utility vehicle, so those Americans probably know. Did it have standard or optional heated rear seats? Not front seats, rear seats.
What was the brand?
Hyundai.
Oh, I'm going to go for standard. Yes.
That was. You're really good at this. The Ford Ka Mark 1. Did it have a glove box fridge?
Well, obviously, rust came as standard on these cars.
Yes. As it rolled off the production.
I'm going to say no.
No. It was an optional extra on
It's Ford.
Yes.
It's Ford. I mean, the amount of Fords I've had with things blanked out by little plates.
But that said, my Mini has got a glove box fridge. It works on the air conditioning system, so the air conditioner, when it's on, cools the glove box.
It's very good. I've got a glove. In fact, I never use it. I've got a glove box. The center console on my Honda Accord is a fridge, and I never use it. And the only thing that sits in there are wet wipes, and they're very cold. I never use it. I just...
The kids go, oh, it's cold.
It's really cold. Cold wet wipes.
And the last one, you've done so well. You've so far got pretty much all in par one.
Got the speedboat, the microwave, Bendy Bully, weekend with Jim's wife.
Yes. The last one is the Tesla Model S bioweapon defense mode. Now, was that standard or was that optional?
Bioweapon defense mode. I'm going to say, rather, it's Tesla. Why not?
Yeah, it was optional. 2,600 would have bought you a biodefense mode button, which would have filtered out nuclear fallout.
Fucking brilliant. I mean, you're buggered because you can't get away from the nuclear bomb because you've run out of electricity. Oh, no, actually, no, this is even better. This is even better. A hazmat suit might have... doesn't a nuclear bomb give off an electromagnetic... it's like the Harrington event of 1845 or something that you get from these sunbursts. It gives out... it's like a neutron bomb. So it gives out an electromagnetic pulse that destroys electrics.
So you wouldn't be able to get anywhere, really.
No, and your filter's not working because there's no electrics. Because the bomb has gone off, the electromagnetic shock has come through. So the only thing that does work is a Green Goddess fire engine, of which we have none anymore.
With someone ringing the bell. Ding,
Who
ding,
sold
ding.
that? Who? Somebody needs shooting. Yes, well, right. You can imagine it's some Californian idiot and somebody going, hang on, there's been a nuclear war. There's these electromagnetic waves knocking out cars, computers, mobile phones, and the bloody Tesla. But no, don't worry, you can filter it. But the filter doesn't work because the car's got no electricity in it.
Exactly, yes.
Do I win anything? No.
You win nothing but your bus fare home.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me. It's been lovely, Jim. I mean, obviously, my friends have loved me coming on the show, so thank you very much. And I'll just wave at everybody. Wave, hello. Thank you for coming. Right, that's about it from the show. Email the boys at car-boys@outlook.com. We'll endeavour to answer the questions, be they car related or not. Have I got the music queued up? No. Here it goes.
Yes.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time. Get lost. Get alive.